My husband of 10 years was planning to make me, his infertile wife, take care of his mistress after childbirth, washing her placenta, attending to her postpartum needs. I agreed, but secretly, I started collecting evidence, freezing assets, and forcing him to confess his affair at a press conference. Before the story begins, I want to know, where are you watching this video? Comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Afternoon tea time. I was scrolling on my phone. A paid request popped up on an anonymous forum. The title made my fingers freeze. How do I convince my infertile wife to take care of my mistress after childbirth? My heart tightened. Infertile. Those two words stung. I'd been married 10 years, and we had no children. My mother-in-law constantly called me a barren hen. Instinctively, I clicked on the post. The poster wrote in detail, his wife is infertile but obedient. His mistress just had a baby boy and needs postpartum care. He doesn't want to hire a nanny. Afraid of exposure, he wants his wife to do it, claiming it's good karma and might help her fertility. I shook with anger. How could a man like this exist? My fingers hammered the screen. You're scum. Being infertile isn't your wife's fault, and you dare make her serve your mistress? Go to hell. Sent. 3 seconds later, a prompt popped up. You have been banned. I froze. Looking back at the post, the top comments already had hundreds of upvotes. The very first one made my blood run cold. Dude, I know a master who specializes in karma rituals. He can make your wife's care of the mistress turn into good fortune, maybe even help her conceive. An infertile woman should do this kind of thing anyway. Others chimed in, yeah, she can't have kids, so she should do more good deeds. The mistress gave you a son. She's a hero. What's wrong if your wife helps? I shut my phone, hands trembling, not with anger, but coldness, a chill that seeped into my bones. At 6 that evening, my husband, Mark, called. His voice was sweet as honey. Honey, I found a master today. I responded with a quiet aha. The master said that our years without children mean you lack good karma. You need to do a big good deed to turn your luck around. My fingers dug into my palm. What kind of good deed? I asked. Mark's voice softened even more. One of my female colleagues just had a baby. Her husband died. She's all alone and pitiful. You can take care of her postpartum. It's a huge merit. The master says it'll help you conceive quickly. Every word matched the forum post. I spoke calmly. Which colleague? Name? Where does she live? Mark hesitated. Her name's Lily Grant. She lives in Blue Bay Villas. I'll send you the address. Honey, I know it's unfair, but for the sake of a child, for our family, please, just help me. He said help me. 10 years of marriage. And this was the first time he used that tone with me, for his mistress. I said yes. After hanging up, the address came immediately. Blue Bay Villas, the most expensive ocean view property in the city. Mark called her pitiful. Pitiful people live in multi-million-dollar mansions? I opened the post. The poster had updated. Success. She agreed. Posted 3 minutes ago. I laughed. Tears fell, not because Mark was cheating, but because I'd been foolish. 10 years ago, Mark had a car accident. I rushed to push him out of harm's way, only to be hit myself, thrown into a roadside river. The water was freezing. I almost died. 3 days of resuscitation. I survived, but there were lasting effects. The doctor privately told me my uterus was damaged. The chance of conceiving was low. Mark knelt by my bedside, crying, Honey, I ruined you. I'll make it up to you for the rest of our lives. After discharge, my mother-in-law asked why I still wasn't pregnant. Mark held me back, shaking his head. That night, he held me, voice choked. Honey, the doctor said, it's my problem. Low sperm motility. But Mom can't handle this. Can you say it's you who can't conceive? I'll make it up to you. I looked at his reddened eyes and softened. I agreed. The next day, I went to the hospital, asking the doctor for a fake certificate. The doctor called me foolish, but I persisted. The certificate in hand, I gave it to my mother-in-law. She smashed a bowl in my face. Get out, barren hen. For 10 years, every family gathering, I sat in the corner. Relatives whispered and pointed. It's her, can't have kids. Yet clinging to Mark. Mark is such a good guy. Still hasn't divorced her. Mark always defended me. Stop. I love her. Kids or not. It doesn't matter. I was touched for 10 years. Now I realize. Every time he said that, he'd hold me at night, sighing. Honey, if only we had a child. Back then, I thought it was regret. Now I understand. It was a setup. On the phone, Mark kept talking. The master says the more devoted you are, the bigger the merit. Lily just gave birth. Some dirty stuff needs washing. Be tolerant. All for our future. Dirty stuff needs washing. I remembered the forum comments suggesting, have the mistress leave her menstrual laundry for the wife to wash. That's most effective. Turns out it wasn't random netizens. Mark had planned this all along. I asked, did you send the address? I'll go tomorrow. Mark immediately sent it. Honey, you're amazing. I knew you'd understand me. Understand? I looked at the address and smiled. Understand your meticulous scheme. Understand you want me as a free maid. Understand you crushing the last bit of my dignity to serve your mistress and illegitimate child. Under the address, Mark added, by the way, Lily likes quiet. Don't ask too much. Just do the good deed. I replied, okay. I set the phone down and called a private investigator. Check someone for me. Lily Grant, 28, Blue Bay Villas. Also, look into all her interactions with my husband, Mark. The PI asked. Budget? I said. No limit. I want the whole truth. The PI worked quickly. The next morning, the report hit my inbox. Lily Grant, 28, studied abroad. She and Mark went to the same university. 2 years apart. 3 years ago, at an alumni event, Mark was a sponsor. Lily a volunteer. Overlap, 3 days, 2 nights. After graduation, Lily didn't get a job. She started a design studio with $1 million startup fund. Source unknown. A year ago, she married an American Chinese man, who supposedly died in a car accident 3 months later. She got a huge settlement, amount undisclosed, but the PI found a flaw. The deceased husband had been diagnosed with late-stage cancer 3 months before the accident. The payout didn't make sense. Coincidentally, Lily moved into Blue Bay Villas a week after the supposed accident. The property was in her name, and her pregnancy timeline matched perfectly with Mark's frequent overtime work. I stared at the photos. Lily was beautiful, young, with a mix of innocence and sharp calculation in her eyes. In the most recent picture, she stood on the villa balcony, hand on her pregnant belly, smiling sweetly. I recognized the curtains in the background. Last month, Mark told me a client had gifted him a set of high-end curtains. He said they didn't match our home style, so he'd pass them on to someone else. Turns out, he'd sent them here. At the end of the report, the investigator wrote, over the past 6 months, Mr. Mark transferred a total of $2.4 million to Lily Grant's personal account. All transfers were labeled design fees. Design fees. What a convenient excuse. I closed my laptop and called Mark. Honey, I've been thinking, it feels a bit awkward to just show up. She is your colleague. I should prepare a gift. Can you give me her phone number? I'll ask what she likes. Mark rejected it immediately. No. She's very withdrawn. Doesn't like talking to strangers. Just go directly. I've already arranged everything. I insisted. Then at least tell me, when was the baby born? Boy or girl? I should bring something for the baby. He hesitated for a few seconds. A boy, born last week. You really don't need gifts. You going is already the best gesture. Last week. The forum post was from yesterday. That meant the moment the baby was born. Mark had already started planning to send me over to serve her postpartum. I smiled. All right. I'll go first thing tomorrow morning. After hanging up, I opened the forum again. The post had updated. The original poster wrote, wife's coming over tomorrow. Mistress is a bit nervous. Afraid she'll cause trouble. I told her not to worry, my wife has the best temper. Totally trained to submit. Even if I make her wash bloody underwear, she won't say a word. Someone replied, impressive. Bro, you've really mastered wife training. The poster replied with a smiley face. I took screenshots, saved them, one by one, into my encrypted album. Then I got up and went shopping. I bought the most expensive baby gift set. Then I stopped by a pharmacy and bought some special items. Finally, I met with a lawyer. If I divorce, how do I get the maximum share of assets? What kind of evidence do I need? After hearing my summary, the lawyer looked at me with sympathy. Mrs. Grant, your situation is complicated. But if you can prove infidelity and asset transfers, we can make him leave with nothing. Leave with nothing. Those 4 words sounded beautiful. That night, I kept my eyes on the forum post. Another update, this time. A teaser. Tomorrow's going to be good. The mistress prepared a welcome gift. She'll have the wife wash the baby's swaddling blankets stained with meconium. Wife is a cleanliness freak. This will definitely torture her. But the master said, the dirtier it is, the greater the merit. For the sake of having a child, she'll endure it no matter what. The comments exploded. Waiting for the live update. Remember to take photos. Isn't the mistress a bit cruel? But I like it. The poster replied to the last one, she has to be cruel. The wife needs to know her place. She can't give birth, that's her original sin in this family. The mistress gave birth to a son. She's a contributor. What's wrong with a contributor making a sinner do some work? I closed my phone. My stomach churned. I wanted to vomit, not because of them, but because of myself. What kind of lie had I been living in for 10 years? Mark came out of the shower and wrapped his arms around me. Good luck tomorrow. Honey, once this is over, we'll go on a nice vacation. Leaning against him, I smelled unfamiliar perfume on his skin, faint, but sharp. Honey, I said softly, what if I can never get pregnant? His body stiffened. Don't say that. The master is very effective. What if? I continued. You're the infertile one? Mark shoved me away. His face dark. What do you mean? You're suspecting me? The medical report is clear, you're the one who can't conceive. I looked at his furious face and suddenly laughed. Just kidding. Go to sleep. I turned my back to him. In the darkness, Mark fell asleep quickly, breathing steady. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. One last time. Mark, I'm giving you one final chance. If tomorrow, even for a second, you feel guilty, or try to stop this, I'll stop. Blue Bay Villas sat between mountains and sea. Private roads. Heavy security. I followed the address to a standalone villa with a garden and a pool, and rang the doorbell. A young woman answered the door. She wore a silk robe, her complexion rosy, nothing like someone weakened by childbirth. She looked me up and down, as if appraising merchandise. And you are? Her voice was sweet and coy. I'm Mark's wife, I said, holding the gifts and smiling. I'm here to help you with postpartum care. Lily raised an eyebrow, realization dawning. Oh, you're the one, Mr. Mark mentioned, the maternity nanny applicant? Applicant. That's how Mark had introduced me. I nodded. Yes. She let me in. The living room was blindingly luxurious, crystal chandeliers, imported sofas, and an oil painting on the wall that I'd once told Mark I loved but thought was too expensive. The nursery is upstairs. Follow me. Lily walked ahead. Her waist slim, nothing like someone who'd just given birth. The nursery was huge, filled with custom furniture. I stopped at the doorway. My blood froze. The layout, the color palette, the furniture styles, even the pattern on the curtains, they were exactly my hand-drawn designs from 3 years ago. Back then, I'd told Mark, when we have a child, this is how I want to decorate the room. He'd said, okay, whatever you want. He'd kept his promise. Just not for me. Lily leaned against the doorframe, watching my reaction. Cozy, isn't it? She asked with a smile. Mr. Mark designed it himself. He said the child deserves the very best. My nails dug into my palm, but my smile didn't change. Very cozy. Mr. Mark has great taste. He does, Lily said, walking in and gently rocking the crib. Inside slept a baby boy. He said this is his dream family. My dream family. My husband. My designs. My unborn child. All of it had become hers. I looked at the baby's face. The nose. The mouth. They looked just like Mark. My last shred of hope shattered. What's the baby's name? I asked. Jason Grant, Lily said, deliberately emphasizing the last name. Grant. Mark hadn't even bothered to hide it anymore. Nice name, I said. What do you need me to do? Lily walked to the wardrobe and pulled out a basket. It was full of dirty clothes. On top lay a swaddling blanket stained yellow. This, she said, handing it to me. Eyes provocative. Wash it by hand. No washing machine, it won't get clean enough. The master said hand washing is more sincere. I took the basket. The smell hit my nose. And, she added, pointing to the crib, if the baby cries, pick him up immediately, but don't wake him. I nurse at night. You stay nearby, ready with hot water and towels. I nodded. All right. She seemed slightly surprised by my obedience. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, right. Lily added casually. The baby has a comfort item, a watch. Make sure you find it later. Don't lose it. A watch? My heart skipped. What kind of watch? Just an old one. The baby won't sleep unless he's holding it. Lily pulled a small box from a drawer and opened it. I looked. My breath stopped. It was a silver mechanical watch. On the back of the dial were engraved words, to Mark. Wishing you success in your startup. Forever yours. Your wife. I had given that watch to Mark 3 years ago. For his birthday. I'd saved half a year's salary to buy it. He'd said it was his lucky charm and wore it every day. A year ago, he told me it was lost. He'd been devastated. I even comforted him, saying we could buy another one. Now, the watch lay here, used as a comfort object for his illegitimate son. Lily picked it up and gently placed it into the crib. The baby only responds to this the moment he cries. You give it to him. I stared at the watch. The engraving was still crystal clear. This watch, I said slowly. It's pretty special. Yeah, Lily sounded indifferent. My late husband left it behind. He said it was from someone important and told me to keep it safe. Late husband. Someone important. Every word was a knife straight into my heart. But I didn't cry. I didn't even tremble. I just looked at the watch, the room, and this smug woman standing in front of me. Then I smiled. Miss Lily, I said softly. Your late husband was very considerate, even helped you raise a mistress so thoroughly. Her expression changed instantly. What did you say? I shook my head. Nothing. I'll go do the laundry. Carrying the basket downstairs, I walked into the laundry room and closed the door. I took out my phone. I photographed the filthy swaddling blanket, photographed every detail of the laundry room. Then I set the basket aside. From my bag, I took out the gift I'd prepared, a packet of industrial-strength fabric treatment, colorless, odorless, activated by water, designed to remove stubborn stains and to make fabric become completely brittle after 3 days. Tear it once, and it shatters. I turned on the tap and poured it in. Mark, Lily, the game had begun. After washing the clothes, I hung them to dry and returned to the living room. Lily was sitting on the couch eating fruit, the TV on. She glanced at me. Done? All done. I said. You checked carefully? Really clean? She put down her fork and stood up. I'll take a look. I followed her into the laundry room. She held the swaddling blanket up to the light. There's still a bit of yellow here, she said, pointing to a barely visible stain. Wash it again. I took it back. Okay. Wash it here, she said, folding her arms. I'll watch. I refilled the basin, soaked the blanket, and began scrubbing by hand. She stared at me, a victor's smile on her face. Halfway through, I accidentally tipped the basin over. Dirty water splashed everywhere, straight onto Lily's silk robe. She screamed. What are you doing? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I grabbed a nearby rag and started wiping her. I didn't mean to. The rag was used to wipe countertops, dusty, soaked with detergent. I scrubbed hard, smearing everything. Get away from me. Lily shoved me aside, staring at her soaked, sticky robe, her face turning green. I'll wash it for you. I reached out to pull at her robe. Don't touch me. She stepped back, slipped, and fell to the floor. I crouched down, concern all over my face. Are you okay? The floor is cold, get up quickly. My hand accidentally pressed down on her shoulder. Hard. She screamed again. I stood up, fetched a basin of clean water. Here, rinse off. Then I dumped the entire basin over her head. Lily froze. She sat on the floor, drenched from head to toe, hair dripping, looking like a soaked rat. I set the basin down and wiped my hands. Now you're clean, I said calmly. She looked up at me, eyes filled with shock and rage. You did that on purpose. I tilted my head. On purpose? I was just helping you get clean. The master said the dirtier something is, the more merit you gain by washing it. Look, I just helped you gain such a huge merit. You should thank me. Her lips trembled. She couldn't speak. I walked back into the living room, sat where she'd been sitting, picked up her fruit fork, and speared a piece of honeydew. Very sweet, I said. Lily scrambled to her feet and rushed toward me, pointing. Get out of my house. I set the fork down and looked at her. Are you sure? My voice was calm. If I leave, who's going to take care of you during postpartum? Mark? Or are you planning to handle the baby yourself while dealing with media leaks about you being a mistress and your child being illegitimate? Her face went pale. You wouldn't dare. I smiled. You think so? I have this address. The transfer records between you and Mark. Photos of the nursery. And recordings of you ordering me to wash dirty clothes. Want to see if I dare? She took a step back. I stood and walked up to her. From now on, I said softly, the rules change. You don't order me around anymore. I decide how I take care of you. Lily collapsed onto the couch. Her wet clothes clung to her body. She looked miserable. She tried to stay composed. What do you want? Money? Mark won't give it to you. I don't want money, I said. I want the truth. What truth? Whose child is it? Really? I asked. Her eyes flickered. Of course it's Mark's. Then why aren't you the wife yet? I stared at her. The baby's born. Mark wants a son so badly. Why doesn't he divorce me and marry you? Why make me the infertile wife? Come serve you instead? Lily bit her lip. I continued. Because Mark cares about his image. Divorcing his wife to marry a mistress would destroy him publicly. His company is raising funds, his reputation can't collapse. So he came up with a perfect plan, make me serve you. Let you finish postpartum. Then once I'm full of merit and pregnant, he brings you and the child home, claiming I voluntarily accepted you both. A harmonious family of 3, right? She didn't answer, but her expression confirmed it. Too bad. I smiled. You were too impatient. Before securing your position, you wanted to humiliate me. You thought stepping on me would prove your status. But you forgot, I'm still Mark's legal wife. As long as I don't sign the papers, you'll never walk through that door. She looked up, hatred burning in her eyes. He doesn't love you. He stopped loving you a long time ago. I know. I nodded. But love doesn't matter, does? Mark's company, I own half the shares. Divorce means he gives me half. To marry you, he has to deal with me first. Do you really think he'd give up that much money for you? Her face turned whiter by the second. I picked up my phone, pulled up the equity structure of Mark's company, and showed it to her. Look carefully. This 10%, it's mine. This 5%, my father invested years ago and converted it into shares. That's 15% total. Mark himself only owns 30%. If I team up with other shareholders, I can kick him off the board. Lily didn't understand business, but she understood my expression. You want to take control? I don't want to, I said calmly. But if you and Mark force me, I won't hesitate. She finally panicked. What do you want? Name your terms. First, tell me everything. When did you and Mark start? Did he know the due date long in advance? Second, send me backups of all your chats and transfer records. Third, cooperate with me in putting on a show. What kind of show? I smiled. One where Mark jumps into the pit himself. Lily hesitated. I pulled out my phone and played a recording, her voice from earlier, ordering me to hand-wash the filthy clothes. Hand-washing is more sincere, the master said, her face drained of color. You recorded me? Not just recordings. I opened my photo album and showed her. Photos too. You in your silk robe, standing arrogantly at the nursery door. Post these with a headline like Mistress forces legal wife to wash feces-stained baby blanket. Who do you think the internet will side with? Her hands started shaking. I put the phone away. You have 3 minutes to decide. 2 minutes later, she caved. I'll talk. The truth was even more disgusting than I'd imagined. Mark and Lily had been together for 3 years. They hooked up the night of the alumni event. The so-called late husband was fake, an actor Mark hired to give her a clean identity and a fake inheritance. The pregnancy was planned. Mark wanted a son. Lily wanted status. But Mark didn't want a divorce. Too expensive. So he came up with the karma plan, make me voluntarily accept the child, then slowly force me out under the excuse of illness. He said you're soft-hearted and easy to control. Lily said quietly, as long as you accepted the child, everything else could be negotiated later. I laughed until tears came out. Good. Now cooperate with me in the second act. I picked up my phone, dialed Mark, and turned on speaker. The call connected. Mark's voice was gentle. Honey, how's it going? Is Lily easy to get along with? I took a deep breath and let my voice crack with sobs. Mark, she bullied me. She made me wash a feces-stained blanket. I washed it, and she said it wasn't clean enough and forced me to rewash it. I accidentally knocked over the basin and got her clothes wet, and she yelled at me and pushed me as I spoke. I dug my nails into my thigh, hard enough to bring real tears. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. Honey, don't cry, Mark finally said. Lily might be emotionally unstable after giving birth. Try to be patient. I can't be patient. I raised my voice. She said the baby is yours and told me to know my place and get out. Mark, is that true? Did you cheat on me? Do you really have a child with her? Mark panicked. Don't listen to her nonsense. How could that baby be mine? She's crazy. Lily's eyes went wide. She tried to speak. I covered her mouth, but she said it so convincingly, she even took out the watch. The one I gave you, the watch? Mark's tone changed instantly. Yes, the one you said you lost. She said you gave it to her. A token of love. She's lying. Mark snapped. Honey, stay there. I'm coming right now. Don't believe a word she says. The call ended. I let go of Lily. She was furious. Her face red. You're lying. You're the one who poured water on me. I nodded. Of course. But who do you think Mark will believe? You, the mistress, or me, the gentle, obedient wife who took the blame for him for 10 years? She had no answer. I walked to the mirror and looked at myself. Red eyes. Slightly messy hair. Perfect. Then I picked up the fruit knife from the table and lightly cut my arm. Not deep, but it bled. Lily screamed. What are you doing? Creating evidence. I said calmly. When Mark arrives, you'll say I tried to hurt the baby out of jealousy. You tried to protect the child. We struggled, and I accidentally hurt myself. Got it? She stared at me, stunned. Why? Because only then will Mark completely take your side. I smiled. Only then will he believe I've lost control, that I'm dangerous. And only then will he make up his mind to deal with me quickly. Lily understood. It was a trap, but she had no choice but to jump. Because if she didn't follow my script, I'd expose her immediately. You're terrifying, she said, trembling. I wiped the blood from my arm and put on a bandage. Not even 1% of what you two are. 20 minutes later, Mark burst into the villa. The first thing he saw was me, sitting on the couch. Hair disheveled, eyes swollen, a bandage on my arm. Honey, he rushed over, trying to hug me. I dodged him and pointed at Lily. She said the baby is yours. Tell me, is it true? Mark turned and glared at Lily. What nonsense are you talking about? Lily followed the script, crying. Mr. Grant, I'm sorry, but at this point, I can't hide it anymore. Jason is your son. You can't deny him. Mark's face turned ashen. Shut up. I won't. Lily rushed over and grabbed his arm. You promised me you'd marry me once the baby was born. Now your wife is here, hurting herself to frame me. You have to stand up for me. Caught between two women. Mark froze. He looked at me. Honey, let me explain. Explain what? I cried. The watch is real. The baby looks like you. She even knows the curtains in our bedroom. Mark, I covered for you for 10 years. Is this how you repay me? He panicked. The infertility thing, you agreed to it yourself. Agreed? I laughed out loud. Am I really infertile? Do you dare go to the hospital right now and get tested together? He stiffened. Lily seized the moment. Mr. Grant, she knows everything. She even threatened me. Said she'd expose us and ruin you. Mark's eyes changed. When he looked at me again, there was no guilt, only calculation. Honey, his voice turned cold. Since you already know, let's be honest. The child is mine, and I'll acknowledge him. But I don't want a divorce. A divorce would hurt the company too much. You accept Lily and the child, we stay married. I'll spend half my time with you, half with them. I stared at him, like I was looking at a complete stranger. You want me to be the first wife, and her the second? I asked. Not a second wife, just one family. Mark tried to take my hand. Honey, you know I love you, but these years, with no kids, the pressure's been huge. Lily gave me a son, I can't abandon her, but you'll always be my wife. I shook him off. Mark, you make me sick. His face darkened. Then what do you want? Divorce? You'll get nothing. The company is my premarital property, you get nothing. Oh, really? I wiped my tears and smiled. Are you sure? He frowned. I took out my phone and opened a file. This is the shareholding proxy agreement you made me sign 3 years ago. You said it was for fundraising convenience. Had me hold 10% of your shares under my name. Remember? Mark's face changed. I trusted you, loved you, and signed. But now I know, legally, those shares are mine. Add my dad's 5%, and I control 15% of your company. In a divorce, I take half of these. Can you live with that? Mark's pupils shrank. Lily didn't understand, but she sensed the tension. Mr. Grant, what is she talking about? Mark ignored her. He stared at me like seeing me for the first time. You plotted against me? He whispered hoarsely. Learned from you, I said, putting the phone away. Now you have 2 choices. 1, divorce me. I take half the shares, and I expose you and Lily. Ruin your reputation. 2, Lily and the child disappear. You return home, and we continue as a happy married couple. Mark's face went stone cold. Lily screamed. Mark, don't listen to her. Jason is your son. Mark glanced at her. Eyes complicated. I counted in my mind. 3, 2, 1. Mark spoke. Lily, take the child abroad for a while. Lily was struck dumb. What did you say? I said, you go abroad first. Mark didn't dare meet my eyes. Once I handle things here, I'll bring you back. Ha! I laughed quietly. Mark, you truly chose profit. Lily broke down. Mark, you bastard. I gave you a son, and you treat me like this? Mark waved irritably. Stop it. I barely have my own security right now. I watched this farce, suddenly exhausted. I stood. You two keep yelling. I'm leaving. Mark grabbed me. Where are you going? Home. I said. Wait until you make your final decision. Then come find me. I shook him off and walked out of the villa. As the door closed, I heard Lily's crying and cursing, and Mark's sharp reprimands. What a perfect pair. I didn't go home. I went to the law firm. After hearing the latest developments, the lawyer nodded. Mrs. Sue, you have the upper hand now, but Mark might act rashly, transfer assets or fake debts. I recommend filing for property preservation immediately. I agreed. The lawyer drafted the documents. I signed. Then I called Mark's company's second largest shareholder, Mr. Lou, an old friend of my father. Uncle Lou, this is Sue. Have you heard about Mark's affair and illegitimate child? Mr. Lou paused. I've caught wind. Sue, what are you planning? I'm divorcing and taking what's mine. I said, but Mark might harm the company. I need your support. He sighed. Your father asked me to look out for you before he passed. Don't worry. What's yours? No one can take away. I felt reassured. That evening, Mark showed up at my place. He looked haggard, bloodshot eyes. Honey, let's talk. I let him in. He sat, hands on his head. I can't lose the company. It's my lifelong effort. So? I poured him a glass of water. So? I agreed to divorce. He looked up, eyes red. But you can't take all the shares. Leave me 5%. Okay? I'll give you the rest, houses, cars, and an extra $20 million cash. I shook my head. Half the shares. $50 million in cash. Mark's eyes went wide. Are you insane? I don't have that kind of cash. You can sell shares, I said, or trade for something else. For what? My CEO position. I looked at him. You resign voluntarily. I take over. I'll take slightly fewer shares if you cooperate. Mark froze. You want to be CEO? You know management? I don't, but Lou does. I said, Mr. Lou will help me. You? Scandal and affair tied around your neck, you're unfit as leader. Step down voluntarily and save face. Otherwise, once I expose everything, you won't even sit on the board. Mark's expression shifted. He was calculating. Finally, he gritted his teeth. Fine. I agree. But you sign an NDA, can't expose Lily or the child. I smiled. Mark, you don't get to set terms anymore. He clenched his fists. Then what do you want? I want you to publicly apologize. I said. Admit you cheated. Admit you used me. Admit I carried the blame for your infertility 10 years. Mark went pale. Impossible. I'll be ruined. You already are. I said softly. Only now. I'm the only one who knows. Your choice, apologize publicly, exit with dignity, or I expose everything and you leave in disgrace. He stared at me, hate, regret, and fear all mixed. Finally, he bowed his head. I apologize. 3 days later, Mark held a press conference. In a black suit, pale-faced, voice trembling, I, Mark Grant, publicly apologized to my wife, Sue. I cheated for 3 years and fathered a child with Lily Grant. I hid my infertility, made my wife carry the blame for 10 years. I exploited her kindness and tried to make her care for my mistress postpartum. I am despicable and unworthy as a husband. The crowd gasped. Reporters snapped photos frantically. I have resigned as CEO, and my wife Sue will take over. I transfer 50% of my shares to her as compensation. I leave empty-handed, asking only for her forgiveness. The camera panned to me. I sat in the audience, expressionless. A reporter asked, Sue, do you forgive Mr. Grant? I picked up the microphone, said one sentence, no. Then I stood and walked out. The live broadcast went viral. Mark became a public pariah. Company stock plummeted that day, but rebounded the next. As the market welcomed the new female CEO, I moved into the CEO office. Mark moved out of our home. He texted me, begging for one more meeting. I went. He'd rented a small, messy apartment. When he saw me, he fell to his knees. Honey, I know I was wrong. Give me another chance. I broke things off with Lily. The child is gone, we can start over. I looked at him. The man I loved for 10 years, now a beaten dog. Mark, I said, do you remember what you told me on our wedding day? He looked confused. You said you'd take care of me forever. Never let me suffer even a little. I smiled. But the biggest suffering of my life, all came from you. He cried. I truly regret it. Does regret help? I asked softly. Can I get back these 10 years? He had no answer. I turned to leave. He grabbed me. Honey, at least tell me, you still love me? I looked back at him. I did. I said. But now, I only love myself. I shook him off and walked out of the apartment. On the way down, I got a text from an unknown number. It was from Lily. Sue, I hate you, but I also have to thank you. Thank you for letting me see what Mark really is. I aborted the child, it's not his. Guess for yourself whose it is. Goodbye. I froze. The child wasn't Mark's? Then all this drama of his, what was it for? I laughed. I couldn't stop. Mark, you betrayed our marriage, lost your career, ruined your reputation, for a child that wasn't even yours. How ironic. The divorce agreement was signed quickly. Mark left empty-handed. I gained control of the company, the properties, the bank accounts. The day he moved out, I watched from the balcony. He dragged his suitcase, back hunched like an old man. 10 years of marriage ended like that. No tears, no shouting, only icy calm. I went to the office and held my first board meeting. Mr. Liu led support for me. Other shareholders followed the wind, expressing approval. My first action as CEO, restructure the management team. I reassigned Mark's loyalists and promoted capable newcomers. Second action, launch a new initiative, a women's entrepreneur fund, supporting women who rise after betrayal. At the press conference, reporters asked why I was doing this project. I looked at the camera and said, because I know how hard it is to climb up from rock bottom. I want more women to know that marriage isn't everything, and men aren't your safety net. You yourself, that's your greatest strength. The speech went viral. The internet dubbed me the Queen of Revenge. My story was written, turned into short videos, inspiring countless women struggling in marriages. Company stock rose for a week straight. I worked late every night, but fulfilled. No more cooking for anyone. No more swallowing my pride. I lived for myself. A month later, Mark came again. He was gaunt, hollow-eyed. Sue, I'm sick. He coughed. The doctor says it's late-stage liver cancer. Only a few months left. I stayed silent. I don't ask for your forgiveness. He cried. Just, come see me sometimes. I have only you in this world. I looked at him. I remembered 10 years ago, he had been in a car accident. I had pushed him away. I remembered him kneeling at my hospital bed, promising to care for me forever. I remembered these 10 years, every time he protected me, every time he said he loved me. Was any of it real? Perhaps there was once truth, but desire ate it up. I said, Mark, we are done. He looked up, hope in his eyes. I don't hate you, I said, but I also don't love you. Take care of your treatment, I'll cover medical bills. But no need to meet. The light in his eyes went out. I stood and left. At the door, he called out, Sue, his voice hoarse. If I could do it over, I wouldn't cheat. I would treat you right. I looked back and smiled. There's no if. The door closed. 1 year later, I sat in my office on the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the whole city. My assistant knocked. Ms. Sue, the press conference this afternoon is ready. Reporters are asking if you'll attend personally. No, I said. Have the VP go. Okay. She handed me a file. Also, Mr. Grant passed away yesterday. The funeral is tomorrow. My hand paused over the papers. Understood, I said. After she left, I walked to the window. Mark was gone. Liver cancer. In his final months. He called a few times. I didn't answer. I only had my assistant send money for his care. I didn't hate him, but I didn't want to see him again. Some people are best left in memory. Good and bad, they're all past. That afternoon, my best friend, Lynn, came over for tea. She asked cautiously, Sue, do you want to remarry? I smiled. Why does it have to be marriage? Then, dating? Do you still believe in love? I thought for a moment. Yes, I said, but I believe in myself more. If love comes, I welcome it. If it goes, I don't chase it. Marriage isn't mandatory, happiness is. Lynn exhaled in relief. Good. I was afraid you'd been hurt so badly you'd never trust a man again. Men don't matter. I stirred my coffee. What matters is whether I live freely. That evening, I attended a charity gala. I ran into an acquaintance, David Joe, my senior in college, now a well-known investor. He had once pursued me, but I'd rejected him because my eyes were only on Mark. He came over, raising his glass. Sue, long time no see. I hear things are going very well for you lately. I smiled. You too, sir. We chatted about industry and the future. He invited me to collaborate on a project. I agreed. As the evening ended, he walked me to my car. Sue, he said outside the window. Gentle eyes. Are you still single? I nodded. He smiled. Then, may I pursue you? I thought a moment. Yes, but I make no promises. He nodded. Fair enough. The car drove off. I watched the glittering city pass by, suddenly remembering one desperate afternoon a year ago, when I stumbled upon that anonymous forum post. Back then, I thought my life was over. Now I know, it was only the beginning. My phone buzzed. It was my private investigator with an update. Ms. Sue, the Lily grant you asked me to track has been located. She remarried an old man abroad, divorced, got a payout, and now runs a popular online store. She's doing well. I replied, got it. No further surveillance needed. I turned off my phone. The past, the people, the events, they're gone. Now, the future is in my hands. I lost a marriage but regained my life. And that is enough. The car slipped into the night. I leaned back in the seat, closed my eyes. A small smile curved my lips.